The writer name is Varlam Tikhonovich Shalamov. Shalamov, not Shalamov. The second syllable is stressed. The river and the land must be pronounced right like Kalima, not Kalima. Kalima. The last syllable is stressed. Shalamov Stories is actually just a name of the first Shalamov storybook. He wrote 6 books of stories. Shalamov Stories by Varlam Shalamov are not tales like fairy tales at all. They were true life stories and real life circumstances that Shalamov was in. Varlam Shalamov was born in 1907 in Vologda, Russian Empire. The son of the priest, studied in Moscow State University for 3 years until he was arrested in 1929. The so-called Great Terror times in USSR mean the times of Joseph Stalin. The times of maximum of repressions are 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, up to Stalin's death in 1953. In 20s, after the Civil War, the repression started, and first official concentration camps, that was the official name, were created in USSR. Those camps were actually neither camps of death nor labor camps the way they started to be later. It is not right to compare Hitler camps of death and Stalin's Gulag camps, especially Kalima camps. The camps in late 30s were officially named as ITL or ELC, mandatory labor camps, which were officially made to improve, correct through penalty. Shalamov underlines and reveals it especially because no labor camp, like those with their tortures and death, could correct a person or even teach him to love physical work. In his life, Shalamov has been sentenced 3 times for labor camps. First time was in 1929 for 3 years of concentration camps. He worked there at Ural camps near Visher River and was released in 1932. Those camps were light yet. Second time was in 1937 in Beria times. The sentence was 5 years of labor camps in Kalima land. Those camps were already different. Hitler never could reach that level. Third time sentence, they added a 10-year additional term already in the camp. In 40s, during the war, and after that plus 5 years of life as a civilian without the rights, near camps in exile. A special climate. Kalima is the great northeast Siberia river in the north of Far East. Those lands often are called Kalima. Far north lands have an extreme climate, especially in winter. Winter frosts often can be at minus 50 or even 60 degrees centigrade. That is at minus 58 to 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Prisoners in camps sometimes even slept in outdoor tents in extreme cold in 1938. Even in partly torn tents with holes. Unbelievable. But Shalamov described they had to sleep at night in tents with holes, sometimes at minus 60 degrees centigrade. In Great Terror times, when you got a 5-year term sentence, you better be glad. You could get a 10 or 25 years and still be glad. You could get the highest measure of penalty and be shot. Many and many were executed. You might go hobbling to the place of work and do nothing there, just imitate your work, but not refuse to work. They record every time you refuse to. 3 times you refuse to work means death. They shoot you. In 1938, they could shoot you even for not giving a norm in the mine. If you steal gold in the mine or keep it, they could shoot you too. Any bad word against the Soviet system, they may shoot you. Any bad word or gesture against guards, they may shoot you. You praise foreign things, no foreign languages, keep silent when they praise Soviet power and leaders, means in ASA agitation, or you are an enemy spy. They may start a case against you and may shoot you. In Russia, many people like to report others. Many cases against people were started because someone reported on another. That stuff works even now. In Russian prisons and labor camps and among civilians too, there are many agent provocators. They hear every word, may start a dangerous conversation, and then remember or even record record every word of your answer, and then anytime go report on you. At all times, many people think that they do their duty when they report on someone. Judas thought the same when he reported on Christ. In USSR of 30s and 40s, such reporting might cause a person to death, and many knew it and used it very well. Working time in camps then were usually 14, sometimes 16 hours. No stopping, no smoking. Sometimes people had only about 4 hours to sleep, then had to work again. As Shalamov described, a young, healthy man turns to a dying, sick creature after 2 weeks of such living and working there. The gate of every labor camp in Kolymá had a big sign that said, "Work is a matter of honor, a matter of glory, a matter of bravery and heroism, Joseph Stalin." Officially, a prisoner had to make a standard norm percentage. It was in cubic meters of ore consisting of rocks, soil, and small gold parts being worked out in gold mines. They used wheelbarrows to bring that ore to the Butara, main gold mining pan. Such wheelbarrows many prisoners called OSO machine, 2 handles, 1 wheel. Shalamov many years worked with that OSO machine. Prisoners had to clean roads from snow. Shalamov described one day they had to work for 23 hours without food and rest at minus 50 degrees centigrade. After 8 hours of such work, you can do nothing but wave your instrument and move yourself, not to freeze to death. There's no energy already for anything more. But till the work is done, not one can leave. Guards watch everyone while getting themselves warm near fires. Prisoners don't have a right to get warm. They must work only. When guards convoy to the workplace and back, they say, "1 step to the right or 1 to the left, mean the escape, I'll shoot." In the prisoner crowd, they had a joke about that. A jump means an ASA agitation, I'll shoot. Prisoners had also to open roads through the virgin snow, pressing it with their feet. That was a type of light work yet. If you cannot do a standard norm and enough percentage of cubic meters, you cannot receive your parcels from the post office. Your parcels are confiscated then. Food every day depends on your result. Only 100% of a norm lets you get a 500 grams of bread. Normal ration. You made less, you can get only a penalty ration, which is only at 300 grams. You made more, you can get a Stakhanov ration, which may be 1.5 kilos of bread. That ration you get once a day for 24 hours. Nobody cares, even if someone else took or steal your ration after you got it. Shut up or die, that's it. Sometimes they give some fish as a food, a herring, 1 or even a half per day. The camp notorious yushka, a soup which is mostly a water with some fat, is a day ration too. 3 or 4 spoons, that's it. Sometimes it may be a porridge, 3 or 4 spoons. Hunger and poverty in camps among prisoners are so great that any garbage can, any garbage that civilians or camp administration throw away to garbage cans, is always interesting to prisoners. No matter how rotten a food can be, prisoners are willing to eat it just to fill out a starving stomach. Constant starving, lack of vitamins, lack of sleep time, and extreme cold, avitaminosis, pellagra, elementary dystrophy, frostbitten fingers and feet, live skeletons still working. Camp paramedic can't help because he has almost nothing to help. Camp medics are the same prisoners, but sometimes they can transfer you to a camp hospital where they have a profit doctors, most of which are prisoners as a rule too, but working at hospitals. If you can't do a standard norm and enough percentage of cubic meters, they will beat you. The less you work, the more they beat you. Many can beat a working prisoner, especially weak prisoners and sick ones. Authorities and guards, foremen, even gangster criminal prisoners, they are next to you too, in big amount, so-called friends of folks. Such gangster foreman has a stick, so-called thermometer, which they use to beat you. They call it measuring your temperature when you can't do a norm. Any one of them can kill you and get no penalty at all for that. Corruption is a usual thing among those who record and count your results. Under influence of gangster prisoners, the counters may record your norm as a norm for others, and you will get a penalty and less bread. Gangster criminals in camps prefer not working to watch others and beat them, may stay at barracks and play cards while others work. Any disease in camps authorities take as a simulation. The weakest ones and the sick are most hated by everyone in camps. Because of them, others have to wait and freeze at the extreme cold. There are no friends in camps, never. Everyone is for oneself only. You cannot think being on big frosts in winter impossible. And anger, as spite, that's the last remaining and the only emotion among prisoners. To steal is no sin in labor camps. To survive, you have to hold and watch your tongue too. Never a word against Soviet system or leaders, even against guards. That's an ASA, anti-Soviet agitation. Guards can shoot you whenever they need to. If you die, they take your clothes, everything, and throw your body, or rather what remained of your body, to a big stone mass grave for hundreds of corpses. Thousands of corpses in giant graves don't corrupt, remaining almost intact. Stones thrown upon them will keep them in secret in permafrost for long. An official name common works in camps usually means the hardest physical works. Most turn to beasts, some even go out of their minds. And then, no matter how intellectual person you've been before camp, a hit, a punch, a slap on the face are best arguments in camps. A working horse life costs more than a prisoner life. But working horses die much sooner working there. That was the fact. Trotsky was a personal enemy of Stalin, but Trotsky escaped, and Stalin was really mad about it all. As for those who were in Stalin's opposition in 20s, those who would support Trotsky, stand for him, vote for him, then they were enemies not less than Trotsky himself. If you can't get a leader, get his people. So, the political criminals became enemies of folk. A notorious article number 58 in Soviet criminal laws was not about real criminals, but about political enemies of Soviet system and Stalin, or as it was claimed then, enemies of folk. Any thought, any step, any word against the Soviet system and Stalin. Even more, if an investigation finds it to be necessary, they can get anyone they want in the country and make him or her the enemy of folk. In addition to the article number 58, there were also special government instructions about political prisoners in camps. They were so-called literary abbreviations made for special enemy of folk types. The ASA type, anti-Soviet agitation. The IR or BM, betrayer of motherland. The KRD or CRA, counter-revolution activity. The KRTD or CRTA, counter-revolution Trotskyist activity. The KRTD in camps mean most severe conditions, using only for hard physical works, no communications with the outside world, constant watching and reporting about behavior every half a year to Moscow. In 1929, Shalamov was first arrested as a Trotsky support team member. When OGPU got him then, he helped to print and distribute opposition proclamations against Stalin leadership. In 1937, Shalamov was convinced by his wife and her brother and sister to write a repent letter to NKVD. He shouldn't do it. NKVD found out his first arrest archive and got him as a Trotskyist, KRTD. So Shalamov again was arrested in January 1937 and in June 1937 was sentenced to 5 years of Kolymá labor camps. Both the first time and the second time, the investigation prison was the famous Butyrka in Moscow. In June 1943, the 5-year term had expired, but Shalamov was sentenced again, this time for 10 years plus 5 years of exile without civilian rights. In spring 1946, thanks to help of his friend, medic, he started to study on courses to become a paramedic. That saved his life and helped him to get out of camps. In 1951, Shalamov was officially released from camps but didn't have a right to leave yet. He continued his work as a civilian paramedic for camps. After Stalin's death in March 1953, Shalamov tried to leave, yet he could not. He could leave Kolymá only in Beria amnesty time in September 1953. Any ex-prisoner was forbidden to stay in Moscow more than 24 hours then. So next 2 years he didn't live there. Many prefer not to hire ex-prisoners. He appealed for official rehabilitation in May 1955 and got his rehabilitation in July 1956. He lived in Moscow and died in 1982. Before he died, he had gone deaf. Behind the border, some printed his stories and poems, but Shalamov was not interested in that, even did not like it. He wanted to print his books in own country, which was impossible. All his life, the Soviet system didn't let him release and print his stories. He also wrote poems. Soviet power watched him close enough, and before he died, they sent him to a nursing home and then to a special strict clinic where he died alone and sick as a kind of a prisoner, which he was all the best years of his life. And what he did well as a writer is telling the truth about Stalin's hardest labor camps, which he knew too well for a writer. Because knowing the path and walking it all are not the same thing.